Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is a podcast where I interview people in my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. I'm happy to be part of the Laugh Factory Podcast Network. This is my 45th episode. I interviewed comedian Nick Vatterott. You know him from Conan, from Late Night with Jimmy Fallon. He also has a Comedy Central half hour that you can check out. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Nick Vatterott and go to his website, nickvatterott.com. He'll be in Boston at the Great Scott on Saturday, January 28th, and in D.C. at the Big Hunt on February 3rd and 4th. We had such a fun time talking about drugs, getting advice from your younger self, why the internet should be destroyed, and much, much more. Plus, get some awesome little tidbits and possibly future book titles from Nick Vatterott, such as Too Short to Ride the Ride. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. You can go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audiobook of your choice. This week I'd like to recommend Born Standing Up by Steve Martin. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. If you like the podcast, please remember to rate and review on iTunes and iHeartRadio, and find out more on the website sleepingwithsarah.com, and follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Well, let's get started with the show.
Sleeping with Sarah.
Be so good they can't ignore you.
Yep, that's one of my favorite quotes. It's like my little, I'll take this and put this against my bed and I'll just try to write in the mornings and I just look at all that
That's pretty good.
ridiculous inspiration stuff.
I have despiration stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. I need to take it down. I can't get the motivation. To
You almost need a motivational quote to get you to take it down.
Take down the demotivational stuff.
How'd you sleep last night, Nick?
How did I sleep last night? I slept great. I slept in a hotel bed.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty great.
That's nice.
I slept vertically. I go under the covers. I'm one of those guys. And then you know what? I didn't fall asleep till about 5 though.
Oh, 5 a.m.? Were you
Yeah.
like out late?
No. So I'm like detoxing right now.
Okay.
Not smoking or drinking or anything, because that's what every asshole does in January. And every time, people say they don't. Do you smoke weed?
Yes.
Do you ever take time off from weed?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes.
How do you feel?
I'm not an everyday kind of smoker, so it's more, I don't know, I guess I sometimes feel, sometimes I'll get a headache or something, or, I don't know.
My nose bleeds.
Your nose bleeds?
Yeah. And my eyes turn yellow, and then everything spins. I think I am addicted to it. I smoke, I don't know. I didn't smoke too much in Chicago.
Yeah?
I just didn't, because I didn't even know where to get it. I smoked so much in college, I didn't care.
See, that's the crazy thing. If you're in comedy, like, half the comedians, like so many comedians sell it as well, I feel like.
I don't know what it was. I think I smoked so much in college, I got to Chicago, and I would find weed. There's a couple times I came home and I was like, I remember I saw like a bag sitting on top of a car and I was like, what? There was just weed in there. Somebody would give me some.
Just find weed.
And when you find it, you're like, well, I don't know when I'm getting it again, so I'm going to be
put it in the freezer.
Yeah, like ration it out, one hit every 2 to 3 weeks. But then I was in New York and I got when I moved there, they go, here's a delivery guy, he can come by whenever. I was like Cookie Monster with it. It's like falling all out. I was like, there's always more. We can always get more. You
can always get more.
And I think I smoked so, and then so now, and then here's what I realized: every time I would go on the road or go home, I would have a hard time sleeping, and I thought it was a strange bet. And I realized I was not smoking weed, and my body was like, "Hey, man, I thought we party all the time."
What's going on, man?
Yeah.
We need to smoke some more weed.
Let's do it. And everyone's always like, there's weed's not addictive or anything. And I really realized, I was like, interesting. When I finally put it together. Every time I go a few days without smoking weed, I can't sleep. And then I looked it up, and it was like marijuana withdrawal symptoms it was all the stuff that I was feeling every time I went somewhere and didn't have weed for. So I was like, I think maybe I need to chill out a little bit,
Yeah.
So I haven't smoked for a few days.
A few days? What, it's January 3rd?
Yeah, it hasn't been much. But I'm already just kind of staring, and I'm like, I don't sleep doesn't interest me at all. I watched a lot of Law and Order, but I was in a hotel bed, so I loved it, man.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was. So that was it was a decent. Once I fell asleep, it was fine.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, now that I think about it, it did take a while.
Yeah, I always think it's interesting. I think a lot of creative people have interesting sleep stuff, overall, or like struggles with that kind of thing. Like, especially because we stay up late and we have kind of our lives happen at night.
Yeah. That was like Chicago was like, oh man, it was being out. So because you get done with the show, and then if you do a late show, by the time you get home, you're trying to get that Clark 22 bus. Didn't have bus tracker when I was here,
Oh man.
Yeah.
How did you get by like February and March and all that? Like, that's insane.
That's my old man thing. That's like, when I lived here, we didn't have bus tracker. Went out there and just made a wish. Cross the fingers and the legs. Just hope one day. And if you missed it, if you went out there and you missed it, but then we just went out there and blindly just like kind of just hoped it would show up. And then a lot of times we were just like, you'd miss it and you're like, well, I guess I just sit in this blizzard for 45 minutes until the next thing comes. But now you guys go out there when it comes out. You're spoiled. You kids.
I'm so spoiled. I could just Uber.
Yeah, you have Ubers now. You have like, oh man, it's a different time. So if you missed the bus, I didn't have cab money back then. When I was in Chicago, I was like, I want to be cab rich. That was like the first level. I want to be like so rich, I can take cabs and I own like 8 pairs of socks. Like I want to be that rich.
How long did it take you to get to that level?
I'll let you know. But like, yeah, and then you get home and then you still like wound up from the show. You don't fall asleep till 3 or 4 and you got to get up at like 8 or 9 for your job. And it's like, I don't know. Sleep is not really a thing you do.
Yeah. I mean, I thankfully have medicine that helps me stay awake, so then it helps me get through those longer days.
Is that called cocaine?
It's basically legal cocaine. I have a joke about that, because it's Ritalin, so...
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, you got excited there.
So it's just Ritalin?
No, I take more, it's more complicated than that. That's why I'm...
That's the layman's version.
I take...
Layman, get it? Lay?
Yeah.
You lay down in a bed?
I take an extended release Focalin during the day, which is kind of like a Ritalin, and then I have Ritalin as a backup, and then I'm getting back on this medication that I can't mix with alcohol, so I have to stop drinking for a little bit, because it has GHB in it, and I take it at night, and it stops the falling down and stops the hallucinations.
Wait, what's GHB?
It's the date rape drug.
I was about to say.
Yeah, so that
I didn't want to sound like I knew what that was.
No,
Might get me into trouble.
That is the active ingredient in the medication that I'm prescribed.
I took GHB in college.
What, like just for kicks?
Yeah. Some guy told me to go fuck myself, so I took GHB. It was at a 311 concert, and they had it on eyedroppers, right?
Okay.
Which actually, now that I think about that, what a disgusting human being that. Well, I guess that's the best way to dole it out. But you would take like a tiny bit and it messed you up. And so someone took, he gave me some and I just kind of dropped if you take a little bit of, it just messes you up.
You drop it in your eye?
No, just like on your tongue or whatever.
Oh, gotcha.
So I dropped a little bit on my tongue and they were like, what is this? Like GHB? I was like, what GHB? And in college you're like, let's try that thing, man, And then someone's like, that's the date rape job. I was like, wait, what? I thought that was like Rufenol, not GHB. I was like, whatever. I took it and it messed me up, and I was just like more drunk than I normally would have been. And I remember, I guess I don't know if they diluted it or what, but
I hope so, because you can die from mixing GHB with alcohol. So that's why it's like,
oh really?
If I drink, I can't take my medicine that night. So it's like I can't take it for over 24 hours. So I can drink. I'll just maybe drink like once a week now. So it gives me a good limit. But it helps me
We need to tell all these people drugging people's drinks that it doesn't mix well with alcohol.
Yeah,
maybe
you guys,
that will keep people from stop doing that.
Yeah, like, you can die from it. Like, literally, that's what you can do.
I remember there's like, we were in Mexico and there was this guy. We bought a bunch of like pills at the like Mexican pharmacy.
I feel like all your stories are just gonna be like, I got this drug, I got this pill.
I swear, I'm not completely. It's just all about detox. Like, well, this is why he's detoxing. He's been fear and loathing it for about 3 decades now. I'm dating myself, but we.
Oops.
I love the motivational poster just fell down. I'm not joking. How long has that been up there?
That has been up there for like 2 months. But
2 months?
But it fell down yesterday, and I tried to put it back up last minute.
I think it's weird that the one thing on the wall that I called out fell down. The one motivational thing was just like, you know what, screw this guy. I'm
talking drugs. We're not going to get any motivation.
It literally, the poster just fell asleep while I was talking and fell down on the ground. We need to give it some GHB. There was this guy, and he was like this, we had like all these pills, and so like, we bought like an assortment bag or something like that. It's very, very shady down there. So we went back, and we went on the internet, and we looked up what we got, and it's like, I don't know, it's like Zantac or like stomach acid.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Or just like, they're like, this is just like for heartburn. Like, we were looking for like Adderall and Ritalin and stuff like that, you know, and like, I was looking for anything that, you know, like, maybe some Vicodin or something that Eminem would rap about. That's what we were looking for, you know?
Yeah, something that would be in a rap lyric.
Yeah.
You're like, you're fine taking
it. It's like, oh, yeah, Patron, Vicodin, let's do this. And then we found something that was like, I think it was like the GHB thing or something like that. Or we looked it up, and it seemed to be some sort of like, it makes people drowsy type. And we were like, I think this is like a roofie type thing, you know? And we were like, oh. And then, I don't think it was a roofie, but it was something that made people drowsy. And this guy at this bar was so annoying that me and my buddy were like, should we drug his drink just so he fucking. Because he was also with this, like, girl, and we were like, he's gonna fucking, like, you know, like, I don't know. I feel like he's gonna do something bad to her. I was like, would we be heroes if we drugged his drink so that he passes out and doesn't mess with anybody else?
Oh, I see. So you just wanted to get him out of... Was he like an asshole drunk?
He was an asshole drunk. He was a total asshole drunk, and we think we'd be doing the right thing here. And I was like, yeah, but if he dies, we're in a bed. That might be bad. So we didn't do it. For a second
there, I thought you were going to admit to that. I was like, ooh.
No, but what's
the statute of limitations on this?
I know, man. There's Mexico, man. Nothing happens in Mexico. I don't know, man. Is there heroes out there that have drugged people's drinks? I think maybe.
I don't know. Is it like the Dexter thing? Is he like likable because he murders murderers? You know,
right.
It's like
we druggers.
Something like that. There's got to be some vigilante drug artists.
I think so.
Drug artists.
That's probably everybody out there thinks they're doing it for the right reasons, right? She's just gonna go home with that. She's just gonna have a good life, you know, and have kids. Kids are expensive, and I'm gonna make her fall asleep and wake up next to me and fall in love with. I don't know, man. Why do they do it? It's disgusting, you know.
Yeah.
They drug these drinks, and then they think they're. Oh, I don't know, man. Can we just... you ever feel like Dexter? Do you ever feel like, you know what? Like, yeah, fucking kill all the murderers, you know? And all the people drugging drinks, let's take them out, too. Why not?
Yeah, well, I feel that that's interesting. Like, an interesting take on things. It's like, I feel like...
Vigilantism?
Yeah, vigilantism.
Killing people who drug women's drinks? You think is that extreme?
I think that's turning it a little bit much.
Why not, man? That's like a whole, like all the comic book morality right now is doing something bad to someone bad if it saves somebody, you know.
There are two wrongs make a right.
If you killed all the guys that would ever drug a girl's drink, like, but then no girl's ever drugged again, and nothing bad can ever happen to them again, like, are you a bad person for killing those people?
I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on your religion or your personal moral belief system with that too. Like, yeah, because I feel like different religions are more forgiving than others, and people that are really like, I'm not religious, so I think it would be more just a personal internal conflict. And I have a guilt problem, so it's like I would wonder if I'd be able to live with the guilt of some of that.
I mean, I guess it's an ends and a means thing, you know. I don't know.
It's the greater good stuff. Like, more superhero reference things, I think. Like,
yeah, man, it's a very superhero. That's like, and that's all the comic movies now are just like, what is morality? What is morality?
Are you a comic book nerd?
I've just watched all the movies, and I've been like, this is every single, like, what was it, Daredevil last season, and then like Civil War and Superman. They're all fighting. The good guys are all fighting each other now.
Yeah.
Punisher versus Daredevil, Batman, Superman, Iron Man, Captain America, and it's all being like, it's basically sort of like a micro like look at our society where everybody is everyone feels like they're the good guy and they're doing the right thing. Like Republicans and Democrats are just everybody feeling like they're doing the right thing, Yeah. And then the other side is like, you guys are idiots, and then next thing you know, Batman's punching Superman.
Yeah, I think that is the crazy thing is I think, you're right. I think people are genuinely good or try to be good, but then...
Not everybody. Again, there's assholes drugging girls drink.
Yeah, but you think that some people are born that way? Like, are just born, you're going to be an asshole for life.
God, yeah. It's their parents. I think it's their parents.
Yeah, it's their parents.
Yeah, asshole parents breed asshole kids.
That makes sense.
Yeah. That's, again... Why I gotta? If you kill all these like guys,
assholes, and they're not gonna rebreed.
Yeah.
They're gonna completely.
Yeah, then you can't. And I think these guys, they think they're doing the right thing for themselves. Mm-hmm. Not like the right thing for
humanity.
Else,
it's just
for
like for them
or anything. And some of these guys are like, it's just like it's all about. I don't know. Where is a society? You're sort of done with society. You notice that?
Yeah.
Everyone's just sort of over the whole thing.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in a weird place right now. That's all I can say. I don't know where things are gonna go. I'm a little scared. But
to space, man. It's all space. We're gonna be in space in a few months, I think.
Just go to Mars, live on Mars.
Yeah, man.
Fuck up a different planet.
There's no war. Mars has no war. There's no garbage. It's never too hot anywhere. It sounds like a great place to live, right?
Yeah. That's fun. And you're in town doing stand-up and sketch stuff too, right?
Yeah, stand-up and sketch. Doing heavyweight at Chicago Sketch Fest 2016.
So probably after that, but it's 2017. That's what it is.
I'm still writing 2016 on all my jokes. Yeah, man. It was just at Zany's all last weekend. Elbow Room tonight?
Yeah, Elbow Room tonight. That'll be fun.
I'm stoked about Elbow Room.
Elbow Room is a blast.
Can you see the moon with that lens? That looks like a good lens.
It is. It is. It's not like as zoomed in as you'd think, but it is. It's like a 2470. I've got a bigger zoom one that
2470? 24/7? I got 24/7.
Yeah.
Yeah, just all day, every day.
All day, every day.
Yeah, Chicago Sketch Fest is like sort of like my favorite thing.
Yeah, because you did it last year, right? Yeah.
We did it. We've done it like 12.
Oh my gosh!
I think this will be our 11th year, and we did our first show 12 years ago. There's only 1 year we didn't do it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How do you balance a sketch versus stand up?
Well, the best way to do it is don't do sketch and do mostly stand up.
Okay.
When I was in Chicago, I did all of it. I did improv, sketch, and stand-up. Mm-hmm. And I thought it was like, it was fun. It was great. I just did everything that I possibly could. I never said no. I just said yes to everything and tried to do as much as I can. And everything I did, numbers game, eventually something would lead to something else. And you can always do stand-up. You can always, like, in the cracks in between the schedule of improv and sketch, you can go hit an open mic or schedule your own show or something like that. You sort of have to do stand-up around sketch and improv. At least in Chicago I did, because dealing with other people's schedules, I mean, granted, getting paid... I wasn't really getting paid when I was in Chicago. So it was all like for free,
Yeah.
So I think the reason sketch and improv went away as I moved to New York is because I wasn't getting paid for sketch and improv, and I was getting paid for stand up. So getting paid always got priority, and so
that makes sense.
You sort of like, once you're working with other people, it's sort of like you can't really work with another group if it's all about you, Mm-hmm. So you sort of have to do your best on every level of the production, from writing to just scheduling. If your group is like, we're going to rehearse every Tuesday and we're going to put up shows at this one place every other Thursday, or schedule a show, whatever, that's sort of where and then stand up, you're like, can you do a show on this day? You're like, I got my sketch group that night, I can't, or whatever. So that's just how that's just sort of how it happened. That's the best way to do it.
Yeah.
Lots of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, lots of Mountain Dew, lots of just fucking around. Right? Did you guys do a lot of video stuff too, or just like fun live shit?
I feel like we're old. We were before bus tracks.
Before YouTube.
Yeah, we didn't even have the internet. Like we had like what was YouTube was what 2003 maybe or 5 or whenever it started. We literally had already been a sketch group for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, YouTube became a thing, and we just, like, we made one video, like, the last year we were all in Chicago together, and that was, like, a big production. It took, like, a year to get it done and edited and everything, and, like, it's still out there. But, like, it's just, like, we just didn't... We weren't like I feel like if you're a sketch group now, you're so bombarded with like internet and YouTube and web series.
You got to keep up your Twitter. You got to keep up your Snapchat. You got to keep up the Instagram. Yeah. It's so much work.
Yeah, and we just we just did everything for the stage, and then like we didn't even know where to begin with like video. And now I think we kind of missed that boat a little bit. Like it just didn't. By the time we all left Chicago, like. YouTube was just starting to like catch fire, and so we were all kind of already gone from here by then. So like, yeah, unfortunately we didn't do as much, but I've been doing a bunch of stuff now. I just kind of filmed my own sketch pilot last year, which I might just like put online soon.
Oh, that'd be fun.
No Outlet. Check that out when it comes out. But yeah, Yeah, always loved doing sketch.
It's fun and silly, and I used to do improv, but I preferred to write things and like make it better and all that, because like I'm almost someone that like you think like a couple minutes later you're like, oh, I could have said that,
right.
So for me, I always liked having it more written versus that.
I think like a big thing too is like I never liked shooting a video and then showing it to people at a theater. Because it always felt to me like, well, why did we ask these people to leave their house when they could have just stayed at home and watched this,
Yeah.
So I always hated when I went to a show, and unless the video is somehow utilizing the space or the idea that you're in a theater in a clever way or in a way...
Or like a 30-second transition so someone can change or something like that.
Yeah, that's great, But just being like, this is the thing we shot, I'm like... and so I think like that sort of like... and again, YouTube wasn't like this big thing where it's... I didn't see the point of making videos, I guess, It's like, well, if we can't show them in the theater... What's the point then? And then like now I see how a lot of these people got like things from putting so much content on back then. But
well, now it's like I think people are trying to like get reels and that kind of thing and like other random stuff. It's like you had to have everything. Like back then, it was like you auditioned for an agency. They didn't have to look you up. You didn't have to have a certain number of followers and stuff. You just kind of went in and did it, right? Like,
yeah, I was wondering, like, the idea of, like, there's industry in the house is not even as much of a thing anymore because everyone's just like, I can look at it on YouTube. I remember the first time I had, like, I was in LA and I had, like, meetings with, like, these agents and stuff like that, these managers, and they were like, yeah, so we looked at your stuff on YouTube. I mean, it's all very amateur. I'm not gonna judge you on that. I'm like, it's amateur? You mean a guy who has zero money and like
is not getting paid for it?
Yeah, like just shot something with a shitty handheld camcorder. Like that wasn't. Especially like early on, you're just sort of like, but it's funny though. Like it's funny. Don't you get that it's funny? Doesn't that enough? And then you realize, oh no, they want it to look a certain way before they even consider it, and you're like, rats. You're almost like better off not putting that stuff, so then you're like, especially early on, you're just like, well, how do I make something and make it look like good,
It's...
You got photography background, you know how to do it.
Well, I mean, right? To an extent, but I know lighting, I don't know I took a web production class, but like for me,
right.
I'm working on a web series right now, and we're talking to a production company, and hopefully, fingers crossed, they will want to work with us. And so that's the goal, but like that's kind of more of a preparation. It's not just a fun thing I'm putting. It's like a goal to like put this up, try to sell it, that kind of thing. So
Are you bothered by stuff if it's not lit well? Are you like, oh, got a couple rubes over here, a couple newbies?
Sometimes, oh my god, that does drive me nuts. If something's not lit, well, I mean, no one's perfect, but like, if I could tell, like, hey, if they just turned and shot at the other side, and like the lighting would have been perfect, or like, it's just like little tiny things, but it doesn't like. I think content, like if people are having fun, if it's funny sketch, you know, that's more important. Like, I remember seeing, Thomas Middleditch when he did that silly YouTube rap with
McDonald's
the McDonald's thing. That out in front of the Wrigley Field, like years ago. Like I remember seeing that, like that wasn't shot well, but it was ridiculous and silly and they got a commercial out of it.
Right.
You know, I think if your stuff is good enough, like people will notice.
Right.
And, you know, be so good they can't ignore you, even though it fell down, I remember.
It fell down! It is great advice. Be so good they can't ignore you.
Yeah.
Evan's always like, what should I do? What do I do? Eat? Or is
it only records. Like, these kinds of cameras only record for, like, 30 minutes at a time, which is kind of annoying. But
I got a Mark III 5D camera.
Oh, that's great.
I still haven't quite mastered.
This is a kind of equivalent, like this is a D800, not Nikon, so similar. So that's a nice camera you got.
It is, man. But I definitely liked it when I first got it. I went and like recorded a set, and then it like turned off. I was like, oh, that was a great set. I'm so glad I take it. It's a nice camera. And like shut off after like 12 minutes. I was like, what?
That always drives me nuts. It's like always when you have like the camera, it's like. Or it's either you have a great set the one time you're like, oh, I'm not going to record it. And then you have like a perfect set and you're like, why didn't I record it?
You almost have to record every time. Otherwise, the jinx is you're going to get jinxed every time.
I try to. I mean, not every time, but I've got this little one. But you know, it's hard. Some venues, it's harder to do it, you know? And,
yeah.
And like sometimes if you're like opening for someone or you're doing something you don't want to seem like uncool. Like I did that recently and I was like, I'm not going to ask to record because I need to seem like I'm already at this, you know what I mean?
It's such a pain in the ass to record.
It is.
Such a pain. I hate it.
But you're at a point now where you've got, you know, TV credits and you've got stuff, so it's like I feel like you almost don't need to, right?
Sure, yeah.
Or maybe,
I guess. I don't know. You know, it's always like, you know, I don't know. I think there's always like this vision of like how it's all going to be after certain things unfold, if they ever do, and then they unfold, and you're kind of like, sometimes you're like, I don't know. I think it happens differently for different people, maybe.
Yeah.
Sometimes I sort of feel like I you know, feel very grateful I got to do a lot of these great things, you know. But then sometimes I'm like, nothing feels different. You know?
Gotcha. So it's like you do these things, but you're still this, which is what I like about stand-up. Like, I feel like when I've gone to LA, hang out at the Comedy Store, like, people are very down to earth, and you don't have this big, versus actors, which I've known some actors that have gotten, like, you know, like, and I feel like there's a very big difference with the way, the culture. Right. Because stand-up, if you need to be knocked down a peg, you just go to an open mic, you know? But with, like, acting and that kind of thing, once you get up in that world, it's very different, I think.
Yeah. I guess they just get used to, I don't know. They're different. I don't know. Maybe they're just in a different circle of people, different. I don't know. Must be. I guess, I don't know. I don't know what it's like, you know? I feel like I was running around doing bar shows, you know, and then trying to like do whatever I can to come up with anything. And then I got to do a couple great things, and now I'm still running around doing bar shows. It doesn't feel any different to me.
Yeah.
You know, so for me to be like cocky about that or like arrogant about that is like completely pointless. Maybe some people will get cocky or arrogant or change a little bit because they're like, well, I was struggling and didn't have money, and now I'm like, you know, I got George Clooney on the old speed dial, and I go to swanky things left and right, and I mean, I don't know what it is. But then you know, I got friends that are like kind of actor types, and they're just the same dudes that always were, you know.
Well, that's nice. Like I said, I think everyone's kind of different with the way, but I think that's the reason why you get this weird vision of LA. You know, you hear like everyone like gets this certain point and then they become an asshole. Right. And I haven't experienced that with the people I know, but I don't know.
Right. Yeah. There's things like some people that become assholes. Part of you is like, they were always kind of an asshole. You know, like they just finally just sort of how important they thought they were in their head. Finally, the reality of it caught up with them or something like that. Because people would be like, "Oh, she's not the same," or "He's not the same," or whatever. It's like, yeah, but think about it. They were always kind of a dick. You know? Like, they were always sort of standoffish and kind of cling to certain, social circles and tried to, friend up and all this kind of stuff. And now...
And it also drives me nuts when people are like, oh, they're not the same. No one's ever going to be the fucking same. I'm sorry, if you knew them 10 years ago when you were in college, they're not going to be the same fucking person, right?
Right, you're still the same.
God, imagine if you were the same person as you were in college.
I don't know. Sometimes I think about that, though, where I'm like, everyone's always like, what advice would you give to your 21-year-old self? And sometimes I'm like, dude, I wouldn't mind some advice from my 21-year-old self, you know?
Oh, getting advice from your...
Yeah, because that dude was, awesome.
Did you ever bring him out in characters? Because I know you do a lot of characters. What would your 21-year-old self say to you right now?
I mean, that's what I want to know. I mean, I feel like he would be like, hey, dude, fuck yeah. Fucking life is, awesome, dude. You get to drink, dude, you can get, a 6-pack of beer, and, you're good for the night, you know? Get some NHL 93 and play some, get a 6-pack of beer, and then, just fuck it. Just go to a bar and just hang out, man. It's dude, full throttle, man. Live, he was just, so, and now I'm like, there's a party, I don't feel like going, you know? I'm tired, I don't think I'm gonna drink tonight because my back will hurt. You know, it's
wow.
I don't know. I mean, it's obviously, but I definitely feel like the 21-year-old self had unbridled. I feel like he had an unwarranted confidence.
Yes.
There's nothing he did that warranted the confidence and positivity and optimism that he had. You know.
See, I think it's kind of the opposite. For me, I only feel confidence if I get to a certain level of drunk. And I'm like, oh, I've got this confidence and I can get away with anything.
Right, yeah. I think I have a confidence that sort of, I don't know if my confidence, it's weird because you gotta have confidence, but you don't want your ego to be too big.
It's that balance,
you know? Yeah. And I think sometimes my confidence inflates my ego a little bit too much, you know. So sometimes, I'm sitting there I should have gotten that thing, you know, or I'll be, as opposed to 21-year-old self be like, oh, fuck it, someone else will come along, you know? And now I'm like, dude, you were the best of all those people. Fuck
it's that optimism, too. It's that naivety, you know? But I feel like I was way more naive in relationships and all that. And so, for that purpose, I think I would probably give myself a 21-year-old advice.
Oh, yeah, I think relationship-wise, younger me could use, maybe a whole year tutorial. I really need to sit him down and sort of explain the whole
everything, how everything works.
Yeah, hey, dude, a lot of those girls like you, and you don't realize it. You know,
yeah,
you and you're trying to hook up with the wrong people, and then you're so devastated because they're not into you. You're oblivious to the people you should be hanging out with. A lot of that, you know. In college, I was going to clubs, trying to hit on people at clubs. I'm going to a dance club and it's trying to dance, and I'm like, why is this not working? Why does no one want to be with me? And it's just not your wheelhouse, dude, you know?
Play to your strengths, right?
Yeah, exactly, man. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I think, with And I still think it's a weird thing. I still get nervous when it comes to that stuff, you know? If I ever have to ask somebody out or do something like that.
Right.
Or it's a weird level. I think for me it goes up and down for confidence levels. Sometimes you feel really confident, sometimes you don't, and then sometimes, I don't know.
Well, when you actually like somebody, it's a little disappointing. You know? It's a little like, I can't. As opposed to, like, if you see someone you don't know at all, you know. Like, if you go to I feel like if I hit on someone and got rejected in college, like, kind of like, you know, it would keep me from hitting on anyone for a while. And I think, like, older me is just sort of like, whatever.
You don't
It doesn't matter,
yeah.
You know? Although if it was somebody that I liked, and then, you know, then
it would still hurt.
Then it's, like, sort of a bummer, you know? Because you're like, this was like, so that's just not going to be a thing ever, huh? Oh, crap. All right, well, maybe I'll, you know, it's like you want to go to Disneyland, and they're like, you can't come in. And like, I don't know.
Or you're too short for the ride.
Yeah, you did. And I was usually too short for the ride. That's generally what it was. That's going to be the name of my book. Too short for the ride?
Yeah. I like that. Because I went to space camp when I was 9, and I was not tall enough to do the G-force thing, and I was so mad. I was off by like 2 inches, and I was so mad that you go all the way to space camp, and like the whole thing is to do the G-force thing, and you have to be 52 inches, and I was like 50.
What a bummer, man.
That's so sad. That's not a tragic childhood story, but it's sad.
It's pretty sad. Especially at space camp, because you want space camp. You're already at space camp, so life's pretty awesome. And then not being able to do all the space camp is a huge bummer, you know?
I know.
I remember one time I saw, like, there was a kid at a amusement park, and it's a long line, and everyone's just like, is he going to be tall enough? Are you going to be tall enough? I'm going to be tall enough. He's like, going to be tall enough? Yeah, I'm going. You know, it's like, you're going to be tall enough, and everyone's just like, is he going to be tall enough? Going to be tall enough? And then he gets to the foghorn leghorn hand, you know, and then he was just barely tall enough. And the whole crowd, everybody in line cheered, and he was so happy, and everybody, it was a very sweet moment. Everyone was just like happy that he gets to ride the, because this is in line for like 45 minutes. So he really went all in on this height thing, you know, and he, but it's funny because it's like everyone's clapping because they're like, yay! But really what we're clapping is like, it's just barely safe enough for him. He probably won't fall out. He's on his tippy toes. Should I say something? Nah, I don't want to ruin the moment, you know? And like, I don't know. It's like, he has a good chance of falling out, you know? Like, I'd rather chance him falling out.
You want him to live his dream. If he's going to fall out and get hurt, he's going to be living his dream while he's doing it.
Live his dream or die your dream. But dream it either way.
That sounds like a good quote, too.
Live a dream, die a dream. Put it on the board! Steve Martin, you fell down. We got to put a new thing up there.
Nick Vatterott quotes.
Martin, man. That Steve Martin quote is amazing. Poor Steve Martin. Guy's like tried to stay out of trouble his entire life, you know? He's like a pretty straight edge, all that stuff. That
stupid tweet, like that just drives me nuts. It drives me nuts. Like when people like, it's Twitter. Like just don't.
Now he's not going to say anything anymore. Now he's not going to be like, you know what? That's so much that, you know, it's such a bummer.
That makes me so sad, and that's why like I hope. I don't know. It just bothers me with the whole social media that it gets that bad.
Sure.
Have you ever had any crazy social media stuff happen?
Oh man, I think that's the fear of like people just like taking, you know, God, yeah, it's just awful. Yeah. I don't like it, man.
I get nervous at Twitter. Like I overthink because at least Facebook you can edit shit down and you can like change. You know, you can change who's allowed to see it. And with Twitter, it's just out there. And, like, even if people, like, when people get on SNL, they delete a bunch of tweets, you know? And then they're like, we screenshotted them all. And it's like, who has the time to screenshot 8,000? Like, do you think someone is really just, like, going through, like, your Twitter right now? I mean, like, I know Nick's going to be big someday, and I'm going to break this Twitter story.
Those are the real psychopaths that we should, like, you know, get rid of, you know? Now I love that get rid of has a weight to it because I talks about murdering people who.
Yeah, you know what? You know what we should do? We should just put GHB and the people that Twitter stalk other people.
Because I've had people yell at me. I've tweet, I'll tweet something that's similar to something that somebody else said, because I've tweeted 7,000 things, and everybody else has tweeted like thousands of things, and some things are gonna be gonna cross, and people just like yelling the meanest, nastiest stuff at me.
It's like, I mean, especially if it's like a political joke or something that's like on the news, like you're gonna have similar thoughts. Like that's just gonna happen.
Yeah. The political stuff is just. I did this show, Fox Red Eye, with Tom Shalhoub, and Tom's great, and I like the whole, everybody on the show is nice and cool, but Fox, their network of fans are just awful, and I go after the show, I go to Twitter, and it's just, I get hit with this barrage of like stuff, and I didn't even say anything. I feel like that was inflammatory. I was just kind of joking around the whole time, and like guys are like, oh man, what was it? I'm trying to think of something. I said something about Trump the other day that I'm trying not to be as I'm trying not to like just call Trump stupid anymore, because like that it didn't work.
Yeah.
We did it for 9 months and it didn't work, So now I'm trying to figure out like kind of just more kind of like if I'm gonna like not cut him down, but cut if there's something he says or I disagree with, cut that down instead of him or the people that support that idea. Cut ideas down instead of people, I guess maybe.
Well, because then people will be more open to like listening to you, right?
That's the hope.
Because like I really do believe that's one thing I love about comedy. I believe that comedy is a great way to create social change. Like it takes time, but I think it is a big way to do it, and I think I really believe that's probably almost better than like sitting on a soapbox and trying to get people like by bringing them and getting someone to laugh and they're not even expecting it, and then they think about it and they're like, oh. That's why I laughed at that. Oh, okay. I see my own hypocrisy.
Yeah. Yep. It's the only time anyone will be open to, and if they laugh, that means that they recognize the incongruity and the logic that you like expose to them and this idea that they have.
And also their guards down. Because when you laugh, you're like can't be afraid. Like you're basically out there, and so like once you get them from like this to being like then it's like their mind is open. Yes,
it is. It's the only time people don't just sit there and be like, I'm going to wait till you're done talking so I can say my thing, And like, so Trump comes out, he says, the Pence goes to like, Hamilton. And so, Trump tweeted like, he's like, shame on the cast of Hamilton. By the way, I heard the play was overrated. Okay?
I heard. Like, who did you hear this from? The people that spent $7,000 on tickets? Is that who you heard them from?
Yeah, it's like the most successful play of like the past 10 years. And so then, what was it? Somebody else, Vanity Fair magazine, criticized, his cheeseburger in the restaurant of one of his hotels. And so he just like kind of was just like, he's like, they don't know what they're talking about. By the way, no talent over there at Vanity Fair. Very no talent. So he does this thing where he like he doesn't attack what's being, he attacks the people separately of their whole thing. So I just like, I made up a bunch of things of like, Snoopy says, maybe we shouldn't have a registry. I never liked that dog. He thinks he can fly a doghouse in the sky, but he's terrible at it. Like just sort of like Michael Jordan won't reveal his political alignment. I never thought he was good at basketball. I never thought he was a good basketball player. I'm joking about how he's not addressing what's being said. He's attacking
something else.
The merit of Hamilton or like Vanity. Not that I'm fighting for Vanity Fair.
Well, and even the newspapers. That's what's scary, I think, is when he's like questioning the credibility of a newspaper. And that's where I think we get a lot of like kind of scary things on what people are believing and what they're not. And like that I think is a little scary, but like by just trying to discredit everything, it's like he's the only one that can say anything that's right.
Right. Like Saturday Night Live is not funny.
Then don't watch it. Like if you don't find it funny, don't watch it. Like, and
obviously like it is funny. Like this is their best season they've had, and like it's a great season this year. And like and it's not. I don't know. Just like, but then people like they wouldn't see the point that I felt I wasn't attacking Trump.
Yeah.
I'm attacking how he attacks people.
Yeah.
And some guy hits me up on Twitter. He's like, I don't know. He's like, fuck you. He's like, I'm gonna fucking hunt you down, make you suck my dick and shit. And I was like, very progressive for a Trump supporter that you're into gay relations. I mean, I gotta applaud you for that. By the way, all these people these Trump people, they attack from an anonymous Twitter, So, I mean, definition of safe space. I cannot think of a more safe space than the anonymity of like,
being an online troll.
Yeah, that is like the online troll is the safest of all spaces, and they're all like every precious snowflakes with their safe spaces. Like, dude, you are bogarting all the safe space. Yeah, but that's why we should destroy the internet.
Destroy the internet? Is that the next goal?
Yeah, so what are the 3 books so far? Destroy the internet. I was too short.
Too short to ride the ride.
Too short to ride the ride. And that other one. At least we're recording this. We'll listen to it later.
Yes, I'll send you all your book titles.
Yeah, I got tons of book titles, tons of inspirational quotes. I'm going to start making some coffee mugs.
I like that. Well, as we are winding down, I always ask people a question near the end. I know we didn't talk a ton about sleep this time, but like, I just ask.
We can talk more about sleep.
Yeah. No, well, I sometimes cover it. Sometimes we talk about dreams and weird shit. Yeah. But yeah, I usually ask people like, what are your dreams for your personal future? Your
for
life?
reals dreams or like.
Well, we could do 2 different ones. No.
I mean, sleep dreams. My dreams for my future are trying to find happiness. Mm-hmm. I think that's the only thing that matters. Maybe happiness for other people too, maybe.
As long as they're not assholes drugging people.
That's all that matters. I think I've recently realized how, like, readable dreams are. Mm-hmm. Like, I'll have a dream, and like, as far as interpreting, everyone's always like, "Oh, well, if you see a flower in a dream, that's a symbol of flower of some sort of purity in your life that you want to hold on to, or something like that." And then it's like, I think you're thinking too much about it.
Yeah,
I think like most dreams are like pretty
clear.
Yeah, pretty like.
Like if you're feeling trapped in a relationship and then you have a dream where you're trapped in a burning building, like that is a clear side,
Right. Yeah, I had this really weird dream. Because my dream is like, I had this dream where like, some of them are just like one dream I had was like, because my brain is all over the map, Like sometimes you're in a dream and you're just like, okay, we're gonna hunt this tiger. Am I hunting tiger? Is the tiger hunting me? I don't know. I walked in the middle of this dream, and the middle dream is already in motion. It never starts at the beginning. It's just in the middle of the dream, and you're like in action and go, and you're there, and I'm trying to figure out the deal with the tiger, and then I go under a log, and I come out of the log, and I'm just in aisle 6 of Walmart, and then I'm like, where'd the tiger go? And my brain's like, we're not doing the tiger anymore. We're in Walmart now. And I was like, what happened to tiger? And so I think some of it's just like, my brain just like, I'm as ADD as you are, This is nothing more, nothing less,
That's nice.
Because the tiger does not relate to Walmart in any way. It's not like, the tiger represents like, like the freedom of recreation. Walmart is work and trying to balance work. It's like, nah, dude, you just kind of like tigers, and Walmart is, sometimes this is the most intense dream I've had in a very long time. When I was walking down the street outside on the sidewalk, okay, and I look at talking about dreams is ridiculous, but I look at this house, and I look at the house, and I had a bad feeling about something inside that house, and the person I'm walking with, always a friend. Mm-hmm. But always a face you've never seen before. Like, who's this friend? But like in the dream, you're like, oh, I've known this person for 15 years, all my life. I would never hang out with anybody with that kind of hair. That like super spiky blondish hair, like Guile. I don't know anybody like that. So, but anyway, he goes, "Don't go down there." He's like, "Let's just keep going, Nick." And he's like, "Don't go down there." And I looked at him, and I go, "Fuck it." And I turned around and I ran into the house, opened the door. And it was one of those things where like, door. It getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. Then I finally fucking go through this tiny, like, in this tiny kitchen, you know? And all of a sudden, this baby was sitting on the stove, and its, like, head spins around. And he's like, really? And then he fucking jumped at my face, and I fucking grabbed the baby. I remember I had this baby, and I started, like, smashing it on the ground. And I was just like, oh, that's what it is. This is me. How I attack my fears is that instead of, like, leaving them and keeping going, I have this impulsive feeling to just dive as deep into the fear as possible, and that's how I, like, deal with it. And, like, I was like, that's sort of that, you know?
That's actually not that bad way, though, to face your fear instead of running from it,
I think that's like the attitude I've sort of, like, always embraced, you know? Whenever I'm like, the situation kind of scares me or whatever. I remember, like, in auditioning for stuff in Second City, at one point, I went from being scared or nervous about auditions to, like, I just kind of decided to change my mindset on them and be more excited about them than be like, and then, like, the best, when I kind of got into Second City, that was the attitude I had that got me into Second City, instead of, like, you know, kind of like I got this call back, and, like, I remember being, like, nervous, and I was like, what the fuck are you nervous for? You get to go up and do improv with these people that are fucking hilarious improvisers. Like, if nothing comes from this, like, just fucking go out there and have fun, because it's just, if you're nervous about doing something that you love, then what's the point of you doing it? You're not nervous about, like, eating chocolate cake or playing video games or hanging with your friends. You're never nervous about stuff that you love doing, so why should you be nervous about that? Like, if you really think you deserve to be doing improv, you know, if you deserve that this is something, and you think you genuinely, like, are having fun with it, then look at this as, like, something you're excited that you get to do. And I was like, so I kind of, like, that was me, like, running into the house and being like, you know, like, you know, we're not gonna, like, you know, like, because when you get nervous in an audition or a show, a high stakes show, you don't act the same.
Oh no, you don't at all. And I feel that same way too. And I'm, like, thinking about, like, because tonight there's this girl I've kind of been talking to, and I'm see girls and guys, but, like, and so, like, I'm nervous because she's gonna see my set for the first time, and so it's like, oh, like, do I do old stuff or do I do new stuff? Because I'm trying to do new stuff for stand up, but I also want to do the best stuff.
You're already fucked.
Like, I know.
Already fucked.
No,
because
I know.
Yeah.
But I think what I'm just gonna do is have a beer when I get there, and then I'm just gonna chill out. And because we do a couple sketches too beforehand, so I'll do, like, a sketch or something, and then I'll be more relaxed.
I mean, you know, like that being said, it's like, yeah, sometimes it is like, well, I might as well. What do I want out of this? I'm more excited to kind of, like, charm this person a bit more than, like, be like, I found out that 3 of the 7 bits I wrote last week are good. Yeah. You know, like, there'll be other shows to work on material, you know, like, but I definitely, it's like, sometimes I'd be like, I used to do the Playground Theater all the time, and that was, like, my favorite.
I like that space. I love Matt there. He's great.
And I was like, why? And then I would go to, like, other places, and I would have these bad sets, and I was just like, why am I go, and I realized, I was like, because I love the Playground so much, I walk on stage, and I
feel at home.
Feel different than I do when I walk into these alien places or places that I put a lot of stock in, you know? Like, let's say it's the Schaumburg Improv or whatever place I didn't feel at home at, you know, that
it's like somebody, you know, somebody big is in the audience, or you're somebody else, and that's a different level of importance, but at the same time, like, half the time they're not gonna listen to your set anyways. No. They don't care.
Also,
like,
your friends don't give a shit. Yeah. You know, like, and also, like, if people like you, like, they don't care, and, like, it's actually, if you're funny, it's a bonus. But they don't, you know. Yeah. Like, I remember, like, bombing, like, somewhere in the past year, and everybody came up to me and said the same things that they said when I do well. I was like, oh, it really doesn't matter at all. You know, you genuinely just, like, hanging out with me and just wanted to come support. And if I was the worst comic in the year in the world of the year, and ladies and gentlemen, the worst comic in the world of the year. You can tell by how he's stumbling over these words right now. It doesn't matter. You know. So I think that's it's interesting. But then I have other dreams that are just like there's this dream I saw. I looked down on the ground and I thought it was a shrimp. And I put it in my mouth, and it was a tomato, and then I woke up, and I was like, all right, brain. You, like, just pranking me now with, like, dumb dreams and stuff. There's not much
See, for me, I naturally hallucinate when I first wake up, so then I'll mix up dreams and reality a lot. Yeah.
Because of the drugs or because of
the narcolepsy?
Because of the narcolepsy.
Yeah, it's called hypnagogic hallucinations. That's the actual scientific term.
Really?
Yeah, so I naturally hallucinate. But a lot of times, like in high school, it used to just be like every morning it'd be a spider crawling in my leg, and I'd have a sleep paralysis.
And it wasn't there?
No, yeah, I'd have a huge, because I'm terrified of spiders, so I'd have a huge spider crawling in my leg, and I'd have a sleep paralysis on top of it, and I wouldn't be able to like wake up. And I would wake up, but then sometimes they'd be really fun ones, you know. So there's that balance.
Sometimes the spiders were pink. That's fun. Can I tell you the craziest dream? Because I had, there's something to this day. It was a hallucination. You know. I know that it was. I don't think it was a ghost. The ghosts don't make sense to me. Yeah. I don't know why they don't come out during the day. I don't know. They don't come out when no one else is around. You don't trust them when they don't come out during the day. I don't get this idea that like, you know, that ghosts know when to spook. That doesn't make sense to me. They're like, only wait till it's creepy. No, you know, we don't come out at daylight. We're not day people, you know.
Yeah.
So we're dead people, not day people, right? And so one time when I was like 7, 6, I had a dream. I laid in my bed, and I woke up to what I can only describe as a very fat Aunt Jemima character. Okay?
All right.
And I think there's a character in Bugs Bunny Looney Tunes that it might be where my brain got her from. But she was very big. She had a rolling pin, and she had like, you know, like the, you know, red bandana around her. I mean, I was like 5. I think because I was in kindergarten, so I was like 6 or 7 or whatever that was, maybe first grade. But like, I mean, my brain. I woke up and she was at the end of my bed, and she started yelling at me like nobody's business, and started screaming at me, and it scared the shit out of me. And I like.
Did you tell your parents?
So I got up, I ran out of the bed, I ran around her, and you know, and she's like, "Don't you run away from me, don't you?" She's like, I'm gonna get you. And I was like, ah! And I ran down the hallway and I ran into my room, and my mom and dad tease me to this day about this, because I ran and I go, Mom, Aunt Jemima's in my room. Right? I go, but Aunt Jemima's in there, you know? And they're like, no one is in your room. And I still remember what she looked like. I still remember every second of this night.
Wow.
So it's like, room was here, bed, she was right here. I ran out, came down, and then, you know, came in the hallway. I was in my parents' room. They're like, you're making this not a thing, you know?
Yeah. And
I go, okay. And then I'll never forget, I turned and I looked down in my room to see if she was there. And she was there. And she goes, "Don't you dare think you're going to come back here." And I was like, ah! And I ran back in. And to this day, I just remember it vividly.
Wow.
And I must have been hallucinating. I don't think it was a ghost. It doesn't make sense it was a ghost.
Why would Aunt Jemima go after you?
Why would she come after me? And she looks so much like the Bugs Bunny character, the Looney Tunes character I'm thinking of. But my brain definitely was like, I've seen how weird it is to have like a hallucination.
So for me, it's like it takes me a while to get back to reality after waking up, and it's hard to explain because when I start to get tired at night, that's also I hallucinate a little bit too. So like if I'm ever dating someone, I just have to be like, hey. Like, there's a point in time where at night I might say things that don't make sense, and you just have to be okay with it.
That's pretty funny.
Like that literally will happen, and I'll say stuff, and I'll be like, no, like, baby, let's like make out, let's have sex. She's like, no, you're not making sense right now. Like I'll say things. I'll say stuff like, oh, like, where'd the cat go? Or like, and I don't have a cat, you know, I'll say weird shit like that.
It's
like,
pretty creepy.
I know. I can't help it. It's just.
My girlfriend did this once. I woke up, she kept hitting me. She kept hitting me like that. She kept hitting me. And I just felt like, what? I looked down, she just kept hitting me like that. And I looked over, and I go, what? And she goes, and I went back to, like I was the asshole, you know? Like, and then, and another time, she woke up, she sat up in bed and goes, murder. And then laid back down and went to sleep. And I was like, fucking kidding me.
Did you sleep that night?
Literally, I stared at the fucking ceiling. I was like, you literally woke up, sat up, said the word murder, and then went back to sleep.
When I was in college, I freaked my dorm mate out. In the middle of the night, I what was it? I just sat straight up. I pointed the corner. I said, "Who's that man in the corner?" And then I went back to sleep.
No, thank you.
That freaked her out. Like, that really freaked her out.
That man is Aunt Jemima.
Exactly.
I just broke something.
Oh. Another inspirational side. Whoops, that's the... I need a new bed frame, clearly.
No, that is? I don't know.
That's a foot to the bed somewhere. It's okay. It's been broken for years.
I come in and your room's falling apart. I feel like I'm putting energy in.
No, it's fine. I gotta slowly wind things down now.
Okay.
But were there any other dreams, these goals, like non-actual dreams you have at night, but goals?
Goals? Maybe be creatively satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
Think like
Do you ever feel like you can't, like you feel like you have too much creative energy and you're not putting it all out there?
I think that I'm, the beauty of Chicago is that there's like nothing to get here.
Mm-hmm.
There's Second City, there's like independent goals of like getting on this show or getting on this improv group or whatever. But for the most part, there's really nothing to get for the most part. That's the most like creatively freeing environment you could possibly be in, and that's pretty awesome. And I think is as you move on, you're more trying to be creative through this mindset of how can I make money off of it, and like how can I sell stuff, and then you take jobs that are sort of like, and you're being creative. Because my goal for like the longest time was just not to work at TGI Fridays. That was my goal. Like I just want to make money off comedy, and I've been lucky enough to like do that. Now I feel like I have these creative jobs that are the TGI Fridays of comedy writing.
It's your bread and butter roles. It's like stuff that your heart isn't in, but you do it.
And you're just like, I can't write another Mariah Carey joke and give a shit,
But is it better though than telling people about the weekly specials and that they got to get that milkshake?
Right. It's obviously better, but you're also like this wasn't my motivation.
Mm-hmm.
I get it. So I think as far as like a goal to go, just to find some way that I'm like being creative in a very satisfying way. That's why I like Sketchfest is so fun, because like it is a situation where like me and my buddies can come back and do whatever we want and put up the show that we want and have a good time. And that is creatively satisfying. That's why Sketchfest has always been like my favorite thing of the year. Because like we always come in and we wind up writing a show the week of and then putting it up. And we've done like a new show every year.
Write a new you guys all come up like a week ahead of time and write a new show.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that's how you did it. That's really awesome.
That's why we like when you saw us at Parlor Car, we run around the scene, like going to as many shows as possible, putting up all this material, because we don't have like the luxury, of like now that we're all in like different cities and everything, of like being able to work together. Or like when we were in Chicago, we'd work all year together and then we do a best stuff for our show. Being in different cities, it's just not conducive to that. So it's like 12 years we've done 12 different shows every year, and
that's awesome.
And as of like what was it, 9, 8, maybe like I don't know, whatever, about 5 or 6 years ago when we were all in different. Yeah, ever since then it's been like write a new show every year. And actually, some of those have been some of my favorite shows too. Just sort of the pressure.
It's kind of a cool thing of like being like, hey, we get to hang with your best friends and you get to reconnect and like share all these like experiences and put them into sketch, because you haven't seen each other in however long. So it's kind of nice that you already have this working relationship, and then you're like, hey, this shit happened to me. We're gonna write it into this sketch somehow, or it just kind of comes out naturally. It's fun.
Yeah, and I always think that like the stand up, I only have my own brain to bounce off of. So to have other people make things funnier and like be able to take their ideas and work with everybody, the collaboration is like way more satisfying, than just coming up with something on your own. And also when you're done, instead of afterwards with stand-up, you're just like, I did it. You know, as opposed to like with you get a bunch of people like we did this together. That's sort of like very. That's gratifying. You know?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for doing the podcast, man.
Thanks for having me over just for the slumber party. The anti-slumber party.
The anti-slumber party. Well, thanks so much. You guys are the podcast by going to sleep, so good night, everybody. Thanks for listening to Sleeping with Sarah, where I slept with Nick Vatterott. Be sure to check out his upcoming shows in Boston on the 28th and in DC on February 3rd and 4th, and follow him on Twitter at Nick Vatterott. This podcast is part of the Laugh Factory Podcast Network. Please remember to subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. This podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can view more on sleepingwithsarah.com, and please follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Until next time, good night.
Sleeping with Sarah.